The second category, that is what known as long run production function, or another name, return to scale analysis. What are the names? One is long run production function or return to scale analysis. So in this return to scale, opposite of short run, we have to think about the complete change of all these input. After 5 years, for facing competition, for facing industrial thrives, for facing industrial challenges, all operators have to be think about changing every input, including capital. So all the input, including capital, are subject to change under long run production function. That is what known as return to scale. So the long run production function can be estimating through the technique of isocont analysis. What is the term? Isocont. The term indicating isocont means equal quantity. So isocont stands for equal quantity of a product, where we are producing an output corresponding to 100 unit by using capital as well as labor, because in long run all these two factors are subject to change. So you can just take down, see isocont, when we are producing 100 unit with limited level of capital as well as labor, in all these combination we are getting equal product of 100 unit. So the graph indicating that it is a downward sloping curve from left to right, which indicate equal productivity. That is what known as isocont or equal quantity. So the long run analysis is indicating by the way of evaluating this isocont analysis. So isocont have some features. For example, the first thing is that it is downward sloping from left to right. The second thing is that highest isocont representing high level of output. If I am representing one more isocont above than this or above than that, so all these isocont, the highest one representing high level of productivity. The third thing is that isocont is always convex to origin. The shape, see the shape of isocont, it is convex to origin. The next thing is that two isocont never intersect each other. When we are going this isocont as a map, the two isocont never intersect or touching each other. It did not happen. The last but not the least, that is what MRTS or marginal rate of technical substitution. We can adjust your product by the way of changing capital in respect of labor. We can have 10 unit of capital and 1 unit of labor, or we can have 5 capital as well as 6 labor. So instead of 1 capital, we can add another 4 to 5 capital labor unit. That is what known as something like a substituting effect. So 1 capital unit, that can be 1 machine. For example, some machinery using in the organization for packaging. You can replace that machine hand and have another 5 labor. So 1 machine is replaced by 5 labor. That is technically substituted. So we can use 1 machine instead of another 6 labor. So we are using 1 machine and we are just neglecting another 4 labor. In the countries those who are capitalized, they are using more machineries. The countries those who are labor oriented like India, China, Malaysia, Taiwan, in all these nations they are believing on a mix of capital as well as labor. So the two technique of production, one is capital intensive and one is labor intensive. So what is capital intensive? Using more portion of capital. What is labor intensive? Using more portion of labor in their input. So isocont is always the combination of production function in long run representing by the way of different combination of capital as well as labor. So there are 3 types of long run production function or return to scale. They are, the first thing is that increasing return to scale. When we are changing a small portion of capital or labor, we are getting high level of productivity. That is what known as increasing return to scale. Second thing is that, see the diagram regarding increasing return. See the gap between isocont is keep on reducing, but the output is 100, 200, 300 and 400. See the second one is that constant return to scale. See what is constant here? In all these isocont, the gap between these isocont is equal, where we are getting equal productivity or equal level of change. The third thing is that something about decreasing return to scale. The output is always getting decreased when we are giving more volume of input, we are getting only a less level of output volume. So in short, under long run production function, we are getting 3 categories of isocont: increasing, constant and decreasing. Here there is no negative, because even though we are getting changes in your capital and labor, we will get something like an output. So these 2 are the production function associating with your short run and long run. The first category of your third module regarding production function.